So Google's Pixel 10 Pro XL is here, and it's just as bloody massive and not particularly cheap as the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And it looks pretty similar on the surface, so what has actually changed for this generation? And is the Pixel 10 Pro XL worth that upgrade if you've already got last year's absolute whopper stashed in your pants? Well, I've had my Sims stashed inside of Google's latest oversized Pixel flagship this past week, so here's what I reckon and how it stacks up to the Pixel 9 Pro XL. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe, ding that all notifications bell. Cheers! So let's begin with the design, and throughout this video I will have the Pixel 9 Pro XL here on the left and the Pixel 10 Pro XL here on the right. Bit of chronological order action, important to bear in mind because they do look near bloody identical. This pair is certainly a proper handful, both 6.8 inch titans. You've got the same reasonably skinny symmetrical bezels, thankfully, so not too much added girth. And unfortunately that very same iPhone style flat-edged finish. So again, between that and the general size, not the most comfortable smartphones in the world to clutch. And the Pixel 10 Pro XL actually slightly heavier than the old model as well, at 232 grams versus I think it was 221, but let's face it, they're both hefty buggers. You've got Gorilla Glass Victus 2 up front and also slapped around back. And this is reasonably scratch resistant, certainly no issues with my old Pixel 9 Pro XL, which has been bunged in countless backpacks and pockets with other smartphones and general sharp objects. So hopefully the Pixel 10 Pro XL will be just as pristine in a year's time. The Pixel 10 Pro XL, like the 9 Pro XL, available in a small handful of colours. I really like this jade version, and thankfully it is a matte finish around that arse end, so it doesn't get all scuffy and grimy and greasy. Unlike the shiny metal edging, which Google has tragically once again gone with. Besides the different colours, one of the only other real changes is the G logo is now slightly bigger and shinier. You've now got a dual speaker grille down below, and that is pretty much it. I know I'm really stretching here. And of course you've got that same iconic Pixel horizontal camera bar on both, which doubles as a handy finger shelf if you are using these things one-handed. And the Pixel 10 Pro XL, like the 9 before it, is once again IP68 water and dust resistant, so it can get thoroughly moist, fully dropped in water. As long as you pluck it out within an hour or so, it's generally fine. Now, to actually unlock the Pixel 10 Pro XL, it's the same method as the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Once again, an ultrasonic scanner built into that mighty display. And I honestly can't notice any difference between them. It's been just as reliable and just as fast to act here on the Pixel 10 Pro XL as the previous generation. Doesn't matter if your fingers are soggy or a bit grubby, it still tends to work pretty well. Otherwise, you've got a fast acting face unlock in backup, which works really well, again, even in low light situations. And yes, thankfully Google hasn't left us hanging when it comes to the software side of things either, because we've got the latest, freshest Android 16 on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. It's not like last year where, of course, with the Pixel 9 Pro XL, it launched with Android 14 out of the box. We had to hang around a month or so to actually enjoy the latest Android. And of course, bugger all surprises for the updates as well. Once again, Google is offering 7 years of OS upgrades and patching for the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Of course, the Pixel 9 Pro XL has already enjoyed 2 OS updates as it launched with Android 14, as well as a full year of pixel drops. And you will spy some aesthetical differences between Android 16 here on the Pixel 10 Pro XL and the 9 Pro XL. Just a temporary thing, I'm sure, until the Pixel 9 Pro XL gets another update. Android 16 on the whole just looks slightly more spruced up than it used to. Got slightly more customization on the go, including live effects for your wallpapers, which is similar to what we've seen on the likes of Color OS and Oxygen OS recently. And you've also now got that slightly silly iPhone style always on display where you can actually see your lock screen wallpaper for some reason. And if you were to bag yourself a brand new Pixel 9 Pro XL or Pixel 10 Pro XL, you will get yourself a full year of Google's AI Pro plan free of charge. Although once those 12 months are up, you will have to stuff almost 20 quid a month into Google's jock strap to keep that up. Is this Pro plan actually worth it? Well, it grants you full Gemini access in the likes of Gmail and Docs, and also allows Gemini to spaff out silly AI videos on your behalf. So this right here is me kung fu fighting James Corden. Yeah, sterling stuff. But even without that Pro plan, you've got full access to all the best Google AI shenanigans here on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, just like the Pixel 9 Pro XL, including Gemini, Circle to Search, and one of my personal favorites, good old screenshots as well, which can save anything that you shot and then basically process all of the information in there, and then quickly and easily search for that information when you need it using Gemini. And in fact, you won't even need to search for it yourself anymore here on the Pixel 10 Pro XL Touchwood using the new Magic Q feature. Now this is one of the Pixel 10 exclusive features that won't be coming to the old Pixel 9 series because of course you got the fresh new Tensor G5 chipset running the show here compared with the old Tensor G4 and the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now, Google demonstrated this on stage at the Pixel 10 series launch with Jimmy Fallon, as you do, just showing him chatting with various buddies on his Pixel and the phone popping up relevant information, links, phone numbers, etc. when needed. The Magic Q certainly looks like a bit of a game changer. I haven't had the chance to test it out, unfortunately, on the Pixel 10 Pro XL just yet because it's only literally just come in an update. You have to stay tuned for my full review for that bad boy. And another fresh new AI feature that might possibly not be coming to the Pixel 9 Pro XL is the camera coach, slapped here on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. You can tap this at any point and the phone will basically try and work out what you're trying to take a photo of. So let's say Chainsaw Man close up. And as you can see, you will then be offered advice on exactly how to get the best possible photo. Zooming in, changing your angle, etc, etc. I'm not really sure how many people will actually end up using this feature. I guess it could be handy if you're completely hopeless when it comes to capturing photos. Otherwise, it offers fairly straightforward advice. And one big difference with the Pixel 10 Pro XL versus the previous generation is the complete lack of a SIM tray, at least if you live in the States. It is eSIM only now. Whereas here in Blighty, we can still slap a single physical SIM card in there and you do get eSIM support on top. But most of the other general specs are the same. You've got Wi-Fi 7 support on both, good bit of sub-6 and millimeter wave 5G action as well. Ultra wideband support on both of them. Though Google has upgraded the storage for the Pixel 10 Pro XL, you now get minimum 250...
Sorry, I don't understand, but I found something else. Do you want to know, has Google storage changed?
No, I do not need to know that. That's what I'm trying to explain. Thank you very much.
Me neither.
Where was I? You get a minimum of 256 gigs now with the fresh new Pixel 10 Pro XL. Although just like the Pixel 9 Pro XL, that is not expandable via microSD memory card, and you can upgrade once again to a full terabyte of storage if you're really going to rinse that camera, shoot a lot of video, or just download whopping great buggers like Genshin Impact. And the Pixel 10 Pro XL also finally boasts a faster bit of UFS 4.0 support. Now, when it comes to the display tech, not really much of an upgrade here. The Pixel 10 Pro XL sports almost the exact same 6.8-inch Actua display as the previous generation, but a couple of wee tweaks. It's once again LTPO OLED tech with a crispy 1344 by 2992 pixel resolution. Not much in the way of color customization here, but it's a reasonably poppy, vibrant panel with strong contrast. You've got HDR10 streaming support again. Now, Google has slightly boosted the peak brightness for this generation. It's risen from 3000 nits to 3300 nits, though still a highly reflective display. I've had bugger all issues with either of these phones, seeing what's going on when I'm outdoors on a fairly sunny day, but the caveat there is I live in the UK. I'm not exactly sunning myself in Barbados. You might have been able to tell that by the fact that my face is paler than Casper the Friendly Ghost's arsehole. And if you do find that your eyes are quite sensitive to OLED flicker, well, Google has finally done something to help with the Adjust Brightness for Sensitive Eyes feature, which you can slap on at any point. And this doubles the PWM dimming to 480Hz from 240Hz, which is what the Pixel 9 Pro XL is stuck at. Still not as good as what some rivals offer, but it's something. And Google has also upgraded the speaker tech for the Pixel 10 Pro XL, now with a beefier bottom speaker. So here's the old Pixel 9 Pro XL with that volume maxed out. Massive smartphone spaffing extravaganza over in New York City. Versus the Pixel 10 Pro XL. And these Pixel 10 phones have already leaked so much that you'd be forgiven for thinking they were a pensioner's Y-front. So as my crappy little mic hopefully picked up there, the Pixel 10 Pro XL not necessarily louder than the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but that sound is more full-bodied, it's a bit more beefy, got a bit more bass going on. Now another area where Google has upgraded the old Pixel 9 Pro XL for this generation is the chipset which runs the show, although if you're a gamer you might not agree with that statement. The old 4nm Tensor G5 from the Pixel 9 Pro XL has been ripped out and replaced with the fresh new dinkier 3nm Tensor G5. You got the same 16 gigs of RAM stuffed in there, and certainly the everyday running on the Pixel 10 Pro XL absolutely fine, but as I said, if you are a gamer, you're probably gonna want to look elsewhere. The Pixel 9 Pro XL always struggled when it came to playing the most demanding, memory-sucking titles like Wuthering Waves, certainly when you boost up the graphics settings. And the fresh new Pixel 10 Pro XL once again drags its arse when it comes to playing stuff like Wuthering Waves. It ran okay on the regular graphics settings, although I wouldn't call it a silky smooth experience by any means. But certainly when I started bumping up the graphics settings, things got hairier than my hobbit-like feet. Even in quieter moments, when you're just enjoying a pleasant wee jog through the countryside or whatever, it's still pretty juddery overall. And sometimes those big intensive battles were reduced to pretty much slideshows. And similarly on Genshin Impact, I found that the gaming experience was okay on the regular default settings, but as soon as you try testing the Pixel 10 Pro XL with higher graphics settings, things certainly get a lot more stiff. So certainly, unless you're playing highly optimized titles like Call of Duty, I would say you're probably not going to be too satisfied. However, like I said, everyday running of everything else has been absolutely fine here on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Can get a little bit hot if you're using the camera a lot or something like that, similar to the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but otherwise no issues. Oh, and you got the same Titan M2 security core processor stuffed inside of the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL for securely stashing away all of your biometrics and private stuff. As for the battery life, well, certainly the battery capacity enjoys only the slightest marginalist of upgrades for the Pixel 10 Pro XL. The old 5060 mAh capacity battery boosted to 5200 mAh for this gen. And despite the more energy efficient chipset and everything, I haven't noticed a significant jump in the battery life or anything. To be fair, battery life was already bloody brilliant here on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Enjoyed pretty much 8 hours of screen on time with mixed use from a full charge. And again, 8ish, just over maybe with the Pixel 10 Pro XL. And that is with plenty of camera play, lots of video streaming and audio streaming, messaging, etc, etc. And if you do say f it and decide to get a good bit of gaming on the go with Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, you can expect around sort of 4ish hours of playtime from a full charge. I also conducted the obligatory video drain test for all the benchmark bros out there, and unsurprisingly very similar results again. Playing a downloaded video on loop non-stop, you get roughly 20 full hours of video enjoyment from a full charge. And when you do need to charge these buggers back up again, well, it's once again 45 watt wired charging support on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, just like the 9 Pro XL before it. So about an hour or so plugged in, you'll finally be back to 100%. But the old 15 watt Qi 1 wireless charging on the Pixel 9 Pro XL has been upgraded for this generation. On the Pixel 10 Pro XL, you've got Qi 2 wireless charging support. That maxes out at 25 watts. And of course, you've got that Pixel Snap accessory support as well. So you can slap a magnetic charger on the back end of this bugger. Alright kiddies, it's been an absolute blast as always, but now we need to wrap up this lovely Pixel 10 Pro XL comparison with a squint at the old camera tech. And if you were hoping for a massive upgrade to the optics for the Pixel 10 Pro XL, well, you might be slightly miffed to learn that it's basically the same hardware as last year. So you've once again got that same 50 meg Octa-PD main shooter using a 1/1.3 inch sensor. And unsurprisingly, on full auto mode, the shots I snapped on the Pixel 10 Pro XL identical to the ones I snapped on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So you can still expect lovely, gorgeous, natural looking scenes with realistic tones and absolutely zero saturation like you would get on the likes of an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy blower. The Pixel 10 Pro XL, like the 9 Pro XL before, it's still solid for those portrait snaps as well, capturing skin tones with impressive accuracy. and it's reliable as always for those evening and more ambient snaps as well. You got very little noise creeping in to your photos. Those tones are pretty close to what you'll see with your actual eyeballs. The camera app is still easy to get on with, very one-handed friendly. You can flick up all of the main toggles like so, and then jump across to the Pro controls, which are kind of limited. You can hop onto the 50 megapixel high resolution mode if you want to. And if you tap this wee icon down here, you can fiddle about with the likes of the exposure, the focus, the white balance, if you want to get a very particular kind of shot. Now the Pixel 10 Pro XL also sports the exact same 48 meg quad PD telephoto shooter as the Pixel 9 Pro XL, with the same 5x optical zoom, but while the Pixel 9 Pro XL is stuck at a 30x zoom maximum, the Pixel 10 Pro XL can now boost all the way up to 100x using its ProRes zoom feature. This basically just uses AI shindiggery to sharpen up that image. The best you can do with the Pixel 9 Pro XL is shoot a high-res 50 meg image and then just crop in more. Of course, honestly, the 100x zoom is rather limited in real-life situations. It only really sharpens and improves that image if you're trying to snap an inanimate object. If you're trying to take surreptitious zoom shots of people, well, be prepared for them to look only vaguely human, kind of like that Edgar dude in Men in Black. And for your ultra-wide snaps, you got the exact same 48 meg sensor as the telephoto shooter, and again does a perfectly fine job capturing natural looking tones again, just like the main sensor. As well as that ProRes zoom and the camera coach, you've got a couple of other bonus camera features thrust onto the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, like Auto Best Take. It's basically just the best take feature from the Pixel 9 Pro XL, except you don't have to manually select the best face yourself, it does it for you. But honestly, the overall camera experience and results, very similar indeed. There's certainly nothing on here that wasn't on here that I would say is worth upgrading for. The main thing is that the photo quality is still excellent, even if you're literally just pointing and shooting. And of course, once again, on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, you've got an excellent selection of photo editing tools, including the magic eraser. You've got an unblur tool, which is quite handy if there is a bit of jank going on. You've also got auto frame as well, which can push into the image or actually pull out using generative AI shenanigans to produce a different kind of effect. And good old magic eraser, of course, which can't work wonders, but it can eliminate the worst of those background stragglers. And it's a similar story when it comes to the video smarts as well. You can once again shoot 4K resolution footage at up to 60 frames per second on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. But if you want the 10-bit HDR smart, you will have to knock it down to 30 frames per second at that 4K level. You can also use Video Boost to boost the old resolution to 8K if you really particularly want to. Frankly, I was happy enough with my Ultra HD footage. You've got the same triple mic setup, so the audio capture just as clear on the Pixel 10 Pro XL as before, and you can clean up the audio in post-edit if you need to anyway. And then up front, you'll be shocked to hear that it's the exact same 42 megapixel selfie snapper as before as well, fully recycled for the Pixel 10 Pro XL. And once again, you can record up to 4K resolution footage with this at 60 frames per second, with HDR support again if you knock it down to 30 FPS instead. And there you have it, my lovelies. That moist wee morsel right there is how the Pixel 10 Pro XL stacks up against last year's Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now, at the time I shot this video, there is a £400 price difference between these two models if you buy them fresh from Google. But as you can see, not much upgraded in terms of the actual hardware. The camera is basically the same, battery capacity almost identical. The Tensor chipset still perfectly fine for your everyday shenanigans, but gaming once again limited. Your slightly brighter, slightly less flickersome display, slightly boosted audio as well, but we are talking minor incremental upgrades at best here. So the only real reason to grab the Pixel 10 Pro XL over the Pixel 9 Pro XL or to upgrade is if you're really sold on some of those AI features like Magic Q, and even then only if you've got buckets of cash stuffed in your pants. Anyway, that's what this bald, tired northerner reckons. What do you guys think of the Pixel 10 Pro XL? Are you tempted to upgrade to it? And if so, what are you currently rocking? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, including hopefully eventually the regular Pixel 10 and the Pixel Fold and the buds and the watch, and oh my god, there's so much tech. And while I go off and have a mini stroke, please do have yourselves an absolutely marvellous rest of the week. Cheers everybody, love you all!